privatization. Now we have to see the meaning of privatization first. What is this privatization? Privatization is the process of involving the private sector in the ownership or operation of a state-owned enterprise. That privatization di karichagadu private sector involved chere. Okay. Karindanglole ownership own chejuya or operate chejuya. State-owned enterprise. Shungi enterprise yorwa. Dinzo nanglole. Private sector ki involvement. That involvement di ka ni jikten yore. Yamena shung koran ki enterprise di private sector la own cheju. Rwa. Yamena operate cheju. The process dila, it is called as privatization. Okay. It implies gradual withdrawal of government ownership, management from the public sector enterprises. Privatization labing dukabla. Privatization dinangla kari chunguresena. Shungi owned cheshagyo. Rwa. Enterprises yorwa. Yamana shungi manage cheshagyo enterprises yorwa. Dinzo ne shungi kari chigiresena withdraw chigireta. Okay, gradual withdrawal lagadwa. Slowly withdraw chigire. Okay, so that is privatization. The withdrawal cheta. It happened in two ways. The withdrawal chetu kabla. Withdrawal cheta kani yore. One is outright sale of the government enterprises to the private entrepreneurs. Chik de kandis withdraw chigresana. Rwa. Outright. Kangza lawar. Complete lawar. Rwa. Sale. Ta shung koran suki enterprises yorwa. Di kangza kari chigresana zong shigre. Sula private entrepreneurs kunzola. Rwa. Zonggu yona. Ta shunga je enterprises tenzuki ownership. Rwa. Yamana manage chinge de su chadu gore. Private entrepreneurs chadu gore. Ta shung kari cheson din nanglole. Zong tsabe shu la. Obviously ta shung koran suki ownership di withdraw cheswa. Or we can say shung koran suki management di withdraw cheswa. Chik che. Right? Withdrawal cheta ka chik. Tangbo tendes chik chadu gore. Okay? So, shungi enterprises di private sector la patsong nungdi kalata kari chason private sector ki enterprises chaswa. Nibadi, withdrawal of government ownership and management from the mixed enterprises. Now, when we say mixed enterprises which is jointly owned and managed by the government and the private entrepreneurs. Tanya enterprises kashi yorwa, which are mixed in nature. The mixed in nature lab yung du kabla enterprises tensu rikdirwa own chinge manage chinge koraniga chigire. Okay, shungiya chigire private entrepreneur kiya chigore. Okay, so jointly kari chigore sana private sector the public sector gi any enterprises tinzu then the mixed enterprises lab gudwa tinzu rikti owned chigore as well as managed chigore. Okay, the this chick mixed enterprises yorwa dinene rwa shungi kari chigire na korangi ownership yorwa korangi management yorwa ondi ma withdraw chigire ta korangi ownership management di withdraw chigiyo na ta suga ji chadu gore ta suga own chigire suga manage chigire obviously private sector private entrepreneurs chadu gore. Okay, so withdrawal chedan chigiyorwa shungi ownership 야만의 management di withdrawal chetam khani chik chadu gore chik di kangza zong ni chadu duwa chik di susuki ownership management di and mixed enterprises ni ma withdraw cheya. Okay, so this is nothing but kesi withdrawal chigi yona and that is called as privatization labor. Okay, now under this one nangole privatization din nanglo le private sector di karichadu gorasana. Now private sector will play a very important role. Right? Okay. So this is the meaning of privatization. Alright? Okay. Next one is need for privatization. The why there was need for privatization. Okay, the privatization che goyagi need di karichine chungyome, right? Need for privatization was felt mainly because of poor performance of public sector undertakings labor. The privatization che goyagi need di felt chere di karichine resna the public sector undertakings labing du kabla shungi sector nanglo le labor wa shungi sector nanglo le the problems mangbo chi tene de wa problems mangbo chi tene ani kattu yina ya performance di kari chadu gors na poor chadu gore. Okay, so dila tene ta ani privatization che goya then this chick shungi feel chere. Okay, as I said, public sector undertakings that we will see. Okay. Number one, the process of industrialization was initiated during second five-year plan, assigning a key role to public sector undertakings. Industrialization process, the begin chairwa. That the kaduni go to your resena 5-year plan your 5-year plan kitan the kiranzo second 5-year plan chiksi second 5-year plan din nanglole the 5-year plan ke objectives the karicha to go resena and industrialization the chungya yamana we can say industrial production the increase chadu go. Okay, the thanda din karishi resena wa during second 5-year plan kabla rwa karichung yoresena an industrialization process they begin start cheyore. Okay, and din nangole industrialization process din nangole and role ke che di surate yoresena public sector la te yore la ta shungi sector la te yore la war. Okay, nibadi the industry, or we can say the Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, this we have seen before, clearly and categorically stated the significance of public sector undertakings in the process of growth and development. The policy policy resolution dinangle any kari zangma chenema state cheyoresana pyung koran suge role di kechimbo shiwajik yorda. Okay, the significance of public sector undertakings. Shungi role di especially in order to achieve growth and development. So industrial policy resolution nangole clearly che as well as categorically kari state cheyoresna and the significant role of public sector shungi sector undertakings in achieving growth and development. Right? Then Sumbati, it is beyond doubt that it was through the spread of public sector undertakings that India could diversify its industrial base between the period 1951 to 1991. The Thidikabla, as I said, Shungi sector, government sector, or public sector played a very important role in Kari industrialization process nangole. And dilatene public sector undertakings di Kari chungyoresana spread char hela borta. Okay. The spread chayung du kabla the India ginanglo le period 1951 ne chene 1991 batu Kari chungyoresana India could diversify its industrial base. The industries koran nanglo le diversification lagidwa different types of industry di Kari chungyoresana come up cheyore. Right? This we have seen. So it is beyond doubt that it was through the spread of public sector undertakings, the public sector, shungi sector undertakings, the spread chayung du kabla, and a Kari chungyoresana period din nangole 1951, 1991 nangole, India gi nangole rwa diversification of industries di chungyore. Okay. Then it was on account of spread of public sector undertakings that the Indian economy underwent a structural transformation. The public sector, shungi sector, shungkoransuki, the undertakings, spread shungi, public sector enterprises spread chayung du kabla, and tidu Kari chungyoresana, Indian economy nangole structural transformation shukchumbachi chungyore lagwa. So again, structure labiyumdikala structure of Indian economy labdikabla structure sumdila refer chigore agriculture sector, industrial sector, and service sector. Sumdi chadu gore. The structural transformation Kari chungyume. People started shifting from agriculture to industry as their source of livelihood. Period before independence, agriculture sector kikala shikchumba dependence chungsua. Then after independence, till period 1991 badu the industrialization process di gotsuk ndu kabla industry come up che ndu kabla the people nzo they started shifting from agriculture to industries. Ani the industry di Kari chadu goresana ta koransugaji source of livelihood earn chesagi sachachi chade gore. People mambochi shift share from agriculture to industry. Okay, and there was a gradual increase in the percentage contribution of industry to GDP. Obviously, and tidu kabla Kari chungyoresana GDP nangla contribution ani mixe tandarwa industries ne contribution de Kari chungyoresana ani mangro chinyore la korta kale chine increase chare la kor. Okay, public sector undertakings gave us Navratnas, 9 jewels of Indian industry, besides a host of mini Ratnas. Nabgidwa, that inzuri the Kari chadu goresana industry re. Okay, Navratnas labing to industry gujik chadu gore. Okay, and din nangshin we have also mini Ratnas. Ya industries shemba leungure. Okay. So this one, Navratnas and Mini Ratnas Lavingudwa Tinikola. Briefly, I will discuss after this one. Okay. So dia tinzuriti and shungiwala yoshego industries and chadu gore. Okay. Dinzo industry package da. Dinzo industries and Kari gore sana lungba nangla employment generation. employment opportunities chik tegor ta people nzola tila tene ta dinzo industries nzo package mbo chik chadu gor. Okay, then fifth one, gradually ta khale chene wa khari chungyasna ta kange chedi kochul gore. Most public sector enterprises nangole turned into a social debt weight or dila social liability lapshineti gor. The public sector enterprises the khari chungsha, it has turned into social debt weight. Wa society, social society la refer chigore debt weight la dikabla burden na gorda. Okay, heavy burden chiglapshineti gire cha de gorda society ki khala. Mounting loss la gorwa of public sector undertakings became unsustainable. The kangi khari resha public sector enterprises ruwa nanglo le ta loss incur chia digi kangi shukchumbu shuji tegwar. Okay, which became unsustainable. Sustain che matuya. Oh, dindus chik loss chik incur chigwar. Okay, and losses nzo pet manga lagorda. Okay, mounting lagidwa. Apart from it, ruwa ta dinzo nala public sector enterprises nango le kange tenere ta dinzo kange ten leakage of information, pilferage, stealing, inefficiency, the efficient mego, corruption had become so rampant in public sector undertakings. Rampant lamna control chema tuya wa which is spreading very fastly lagor ta tinzo kangiri wa public sector undertakings nangole public sector enterprises nangole chungora that their privatization was considered as the only remedy wa ta kangi tinzo te du kabla ta control chetugo mar wa kunzo ki uncontrolled lagor wa rampant la bi kabla any privatization chegoya di ta 개침보 remedy chik thong re la solution chik thong re la ko ta dinzula tene leakage pilferage inefficiency corruption dinzula tene and public sector enterprises na le kange khari loss ki kange the wa and khari chungyo social debt weight chayo re la ko. Accordingly, in 1991, the government decided to phase out public enterprises by selling its equity to the private entrepreneurs. The 1991 nangole karichia decide chesha shungi the mewasuya phase out labgudwa public enterprises. Koranzogi enterprises che rwa shung koranzogi run chesha your own chesha enterprises so phase out che rwa mewasuya kandes by selling the zong its equity shares la water public enterprises the shares your what in the private entrepreneurs la zongshaya. Okay, so zong de kabla privatization was to replace public ownership of a large number of enterprises. That zong chana obviously sula zonggudo private la zonggudo wa zong de kabla kari chungyo ta privatization chaswa right privatization ki replace chere la gorta any large number of enterprises mangbo chik roha any shungi karichia phase out chere. Okay, kange dinzula tene roha social debt weight chaswa and because of that the privatization the necessary chane any shungi and dinzuri di zongya roha and zongdu kabla as I said outright sale ya chere as well as koransugi ownership management the withdraw chere from mixed enterprises. Wow. However, in view of their efficient performance, Navratnas were to be retained as a public sector enterprises. As I said, Navratnas labim dukabla 9 jewels of Indian industry. Wa industry guji gyore. Wa di shung koran zo rangaji wala yueshakyo industries chadu gore. Okay, the dinzu rikti big industries rede. Keswa the dinzu rikti karicheyo resena public sector enterprises chadu gorwa. Dinzu rikti zongyo marta, dinzu rikti retained chere. Retained nana Fransuki nyayore ta continue to have lagor. Fransuki nyadiyore. Okay. Indeed, the government decided to upgrade their functional freedom with a view to enhance their competitive strength. Okay. Ta shungi karichiversna Koransuki nya navratnas nzo Koransuki nya che ruwa ani dinangola Koransuki upgrade che decide che ta function che ta tinzuri di function che gora functional freedom jikte kunzula. Keswa 미유 di 가르쳐두고도 아니 군조 la competition 제토비아 와 with a view to enhance the competitive strength 와 improve lago enhancing improve their competitive strength the upgrade chene 와 upgrade chene 아니 군조 아니 competition 제토비아 this is soya chadu gore. The upgrade karichido functional freedom. Kunzo function chigor wa navratnas nzo industries na function chigor wa ani function chidu kalo koranzo la freedom chikteya. Okay, shungi shukchumbo shubuji dinang la interfere mache wache koranzo la function chejuya. Okay, on di chadu yore. Ta Navratnas nzo gi performance nzo efficient shikzigidwa. However, in view of their efficient performance loving kudwa, the Navratnas nzo gi performance di yapuchik. Rwa efficient performance shiktigi wesare. Dilatene Navratnas nzo na Koranzo gi retain che re la Koranzo rang gi rangcha nyayo re la tinzuri di tsongyo ma re la wash. Is that clear? Okay. So this is about need for privatization. Privatization che goyagi need kari chungyume. That this story di chagu gore. Alright. Now we have to see the gains, obvious gains, and imperative losses of privatization. Okay? In other words, we can say advantages and disadvantages. Imperative losses labindu kabla avoid chematuya loss dilalagor. Okay, now we have to see in this the plus point of privatization and minus point of privatization. Okay, number one, gains. Number one, privatization implies supremacy of self-interest over social interest. When self-interest prevails, the entrepreneurs work with 100% commitment and efficiency. Becomes the condition of survival for the workers. High productivity is the obvious result. Now, see here, privatization labsabe shula. Okay, or we can say private sector now like careers and shukcha supremacy labkudwa self-interest yore. Privatization now like social interest la tonante go mare. Okay, so self-interest, social interest rwa nidwa, so the self-interest the supreme chagwa tadi now like privatization now like. Okay, the self-interest the yuna. Okay, self-interest the prevail chigi yuna. Entrepreneurs nzo lega chidu kabla 100% commitment tene lega chigire. Commitment labna wanzo tsikari pejutana diyo dina commitment labing dukal dedication lagwa, loyalty lagwa, faithful chene lega chia. 100% commitment tegore wa and efficiency labing di kabla laga chidi kabla effectively laga chigidwa jokpo che effectively laga chigidwa dila labor. Okay, so self interest yuna ani laga chingen zorwa ta entrepreneurs labing gudwa dinangle dinzo rik nzo laga chidu kabla 100% commitment take as well as efficiency laga chidu kabla ani working effectively chigor helagor becomes the condition of survival for the workers. Okay, that becomes the condition karichonso commitment efficiency dini kari chadu kore condition ni di chadu kore rwa for the workers to survive in private sector labor. Guess where commitment da efficiency dini rwa entrepreneur koran so survive chia ki condition chagi yore ta di nangole ani private sector na laga chidi kabla commitment mena efficiency mena ani workers to survive chetogi marta. Okay, so commitment and efficiency di condition chadu gore for and koranzo workers to survive chetogi. Okay, and commitment the efficiency yuna and high productivity is the obvious result and productivity di yaga achieve chetu guruwa. Okay, so this is the first gain. Second one, privatization expects private enterprises to work in a competitive environment. Privatization nangla private enterprises tinso competitive environment chik nang laga chigire rwa private enterprises laga chidu kabla an environment kandis chik nang le laga chigido competition yugyo ki environment chik chade kwar rwa competition shuk chumbo shu yore la kwar the competition di susu gi lungba nang lo ya yore as well as rwa international chigi lungba nyamdu ya yore. Okay, the competition yuna competition digi kari chigire sana upgradation chigire upgradation lamna quality di improve chagire lagor and modernization chungire lagor modernization lamna it is the process of starting to use the most recent methods. Okay, recent methods slapshane diksare ideas slapshane diksare equipment slapshane technology la gorwa denzo rigdi and use che gozugudwa karichine so that something becomes modern. Okay, so I said methods che recent methods che ideas che technology denzo use che gozugudwa in order to make something modern. Rwa the competition yona upgradation chungure as well as modernization chi chungure la warta. So these are the essential conditions of growth and development. Growth the development achieve che go yona and dini. Rwa these are essential conditions labgudwa. These are labing the kabla growth and development achieve che go yona competition dita ke champo shuji chadugor and competition digi upgradation da modernization bring chigire and which is very important to achieve growth and development non dilagor sumba gain dikharesha privatization promotes diversification of production rwa privatization ki kharichigore help chigore promotes lapshane help cha production diversification chayale diversification lamna different types of lamna diksare yamena sik shemba variety lapshine dibore Okay, production chedu kablata da manda variety produce chia. Okay, tadi privatization ki help chigore in diversification of production. Okay, unlike public sector undertakings, private enterprises invariably, okay, when we say invariably, lamna always lagor generates high profit. The unlike public sector ladikaba shungi sector lagor wa. The shungi sector nangshi member che private enterprises nangole the always karesana high profits generate chetu gore. Okay, the profits rasha gyochigorwa tinzuriti kawala pechetangore sana are used for expansion and diversification of production. The profits tinzuriti and production expand chiele pechetangore and production di diversification tia chetu pechetangore lagor. Okay, that in example privatization private sector ke enterprises chikne yore MNCs the multinational corporations chadu gore. Okay, so these are testimony lana proof chikre la kota ti MNC la wing to kabla the multinational corporation the private ki chadu gorwa. So then so the proof chik chadi gore wa the to the fact that private sector enterprises are capable of redefining the benchmark criteria of growth. That insuriti multinational corporation zurwa private sector enterprises chadu gore that kunzula capable dikari chadu growth achieve chele the criteria chiyorwa di and redefine chetubya. Okay, the capable yore la borta. Fourth one, privatization promotes consumers' sovereignty. The consumer sovereignty labing kabla. It is a situation where the desires and needs of the consumer control the output of producer. Okay, consumer sovereignty labing kabla consumer ki needs che consumer ki desires yorwa digi and producer ki output yorwa the control chigre la kwarta dila consumer sovereignty la kwa. Okay, so which means in simple words now la she yundu kabla producer ki production che du kabla karila tagire la gore sada consumer ki output che consumer ki needs che desire tinzula tane ani producer ki produce chi gore la dila consumers sovereignty la gore. Okay, that privatization promotes consumer sovereignty. Privatization or the consumer sovereignty. Okay, privatization on the consumer the kitchen bush which ngore consumer la supreme power chigyore producer ki production kangla decision lendu kabla any decision di consumer ki kangla consumer ki demand ki kangla base chane any kunzu ki decision lingire case any consumer sovereignty di shukchumbu yona any obviously consumers nzugita mana demand chigirwa and market nol chalata amanda leungurwa and digi wider choice chiktigire rwa and people ki susu tepa shison choice che and quality of life chik lead che to gore elabor. Okay, so these are the gains of privatization. Now laws, as I said, imperative laws which is unavoidable. Okay, number one, socialistic pattern of the society in which the socialistic pattern of the society loving because socialism la gorwa, right? in which social interest is accorded top priority. The socialist nangole society la welfare te tobia. Rwa society nangole society people la justice chikte tobia. Di the kechembo chik rwa zigore top priority chik accord chere. Okay, kechembo chik zigore elagor. Right? Is left to survive only as a theoretical possibility level. The socialistic pattern nangole objectives the kharesana and social interest chadu godwa. The di khare chadu go resana theory chik chadu go ela gorta. Kesi dinsu rikti zong na la gorta. Rwa it loses its practical relevance once public sector undertakings are sold off to the private entrepreneur. Mazong la rwa socialistic pattern of society socialism din nangole ta shung khoran chogi la go rwa shung khoran chogi mi obviously social interest rwa ta practical di kharisha practical di social interest di achieve che cha do the ones rwa socialistic pattern of society nang yo she public sector undertakings yo wa tin su ri zong na la gor private entrepreneurs la and khari chung su ta social interest la be chi yo wa and the theory chi po cha de go re la gor ta practical the loss cha re la gor ta okay zong na la as I said okay nibadi privatization encourages the free play of market forces. The privatization nanglole market forces the kechembo shu chagorda. Okay, that is demand and supply. Free play of demand and supply labor. That the kandista siya. But in the process, goods are produced only for those who have the means to buy them. Rwa privatization nanglole chala kandisi produce chigiresana. Such the produced chigiresana. People who have the means to buy them. Rwa income yugyo chigorwa konso chedu produce chigirela kwa. When the price rise, okay, when the price rise, which is an obvious tendency in a system driven by the free play of market forces, rwa the market forces ki kanga depend chayung the demand the supply free play cheyung du kabla and dilatene rwa and kesi say for example price dia pargi na the sunyangires na tinangole weaker sections of the society suffer deprivation rwa poor sections of the society kunso nakange kare chigires na deprivation okay deprivation labing du kabla when people are prevented from having something that they want. That is called as deprivation. Alright, that is an example. Sirsila tragedy is a notable, important proof evidence to this point. Okay. The Sirsila tragedy de khari imedi in brief I will say Sirsila lamna Andhra Pradesh ki small town chik chadu gore din nanglole industry chik yore which is called as power loom industry. Power loom labing the color machine re ya weaving chegi machine chik chadu gore okay ane which is machine di obviously with the help of power run chigore ta especially tanda the industry data mi mangbo chikaji rwa livelihood source of livelihood earn chesagi such a chik chadu gore okay ta khari cheresana privatization che power supply the privatization private sector ki yalle share le yungtu kabla private sector nzu ki lamsa power ki tariff lagidwa power kangla tax di parshare ta hike chere la war. Okay, hike che yungdu kabla ta industry ki kangla kimatuya unsustainable burden chiklere. Rwa, and dilatene kari chungyo resena sida ta power tariff diya paryo na and chala production che yungdu kabla chala di kaji price diya pargi rwa. Rwa, kaya isina power tariff diya pargi yo na digi toson di kazu dugu yume chasanji production ki kangla gyab yungu rwa. Gyab yungdu kabla obviously chala gi price diya pargi rwa. Chala price diya par yungdu kabla production of cloth di ma nyungru doya yinpa rwa. Rwa, demand di nyungru le and demand nyungru do production nyungru do the production nyungru do yungdu kabla kange kawala tears na cut in wages la kwa. Rwa, the wages di ma nyungru tanga yinpa rwa. Right? So, wages di cut chedu kabla kunzu ki cut kandis chichesha beyond the point of subsistence la kwa. Rwa, subsistence lab yungdu kabla survive chetubya wage yorwa. Okay, or we can say the kunzu la wage raya yorwa di pe nyung rago re la war. The dindis chira yungdu kabla. Okay, ane kari cheresana workers nzorwa committing suicide. The di mata option la yo mata kunzu la. Alright, so workers nzo dindis chik chereta di nawla sirsila, teaching sirsila tragedy la gidwa. So 50 workers committed suicide. This is known as sirsila tragedy. Okay, so as I said, sida tanda the example dile so price ya party kabla sula kange te yungu obviously the weaker sections of the society that the workers nzo chadu gudwa di nawla tinzo la kange shukchumbo shuji te bore. Okay, so this is about the gains and losses of privatization.